Actually, chat, we're not late. We're right on time, I will have you know, chat.
They're getting snarky, aren't they? They do that to me. I start early and like late. It's like,
I know, they're bad people. We're dead on time. In fact, we've started early more often than we've been late.
Yeah. What do you think of that, chat? Sassy sons of bitches.
We're pretty good at this, actually. Alrighty, then. YouTube is doing its usual thing. Just give it a second there. It's going to be a tradition at this point. Every stream will start with a quick little bitch at YouTube's system, as there was like 200 people waiting, and then YouTube is like, right, we're going to take you from this page that you've been sitting watching. We're going to remove you from that, and we're going to put you on another page. And so it goes from like 200 to 100. It's like, okay, YouTube, yeah, you do your thing, YouTube. Go away.
YouTube, well made. Don't you criticize this perfectly made product. Don't even get me started on organizing your channel homepage. I can tell why you didn't want to do it for your channel, because we just got done reorganizing ours, and fuck, it's so contrived to get the buttons organized. It's like, go to this tab to get this tab. How do I add stuff to the fucking thing? It's like, it's awful.
It is. It is awful. All right, we've had 3 little super chats before we started, so we'll do those first and let everything smooth itself out, allow YouTube to pull itself out of its own anal cavity. Okay, daily reminder that without Arch, Kyle is nothing. Ooh, it's cruel.
Rude.
Mean.
I'll remember that.
No, if that is a daily reminder for $2 a day, doesn't that mean that AK owes me like $700 for a year subscription to this?
Hold on a moment. Your YouTube, my Twitter, considering page. Your Streamlabs link isn't in here. Some people in chat are asking.
Ah, god damn it.
Here, after this is over, remind me, and I'll show you how to set up the presets so that it'll always be there.
I know, I have it set up, but it doesn't work. Right, there. I've saved it there and should be back up now.
That's why normally when I click start a new stream, I'm like, reuse previous stream settings. So that it just uses the same description. All I gotta do is change the game, the name, the tag. That's about it.
Yes, I should. But since I've got 2 kind of different ones with this and the RP, it's a little bit finicky. And even when I do save it, it usually goes like, you didn't mean to do it like this, did you? Yes, I did. But at that time, just some guy found out that from Maroon to Numenor, it's about 2,000 to 2,500 miles, so about halfway from the East Coast through the Atlantic Ocean. So any bullshit about migration in Middle-earth is near insane. Yes, we did have a look at that ourselves too, and it'd be one hell of a journey. It would be one hell of a journey.
It's incredible they never talk about it in any part of Lord of the Rings lore.
That's weird.
They missed some.
Nathan Hildeman. Arch, re-upload the Lurking Hunger archive. I need to say more abuse of Kyle. Maybe. Actually, I'm being told to do the whole Odyssey thing, and I might, but...
It's also unlisted, isn't it? So all you gotta do is just transfer it over to the new channel.
Yeah. Sounds like effort, Kyle. And Poag. How many times did Kibbs puke before the stream?
None.
How many, Kyle?
See, Bubbles actually taught me all the techniques on how to puke. So Arch and Fairman were the only people in yesterday's 5K stream that weren't drunk. And I remember, okay, Hands drank too much when he arrived to try to catch up. After you left, Hands disappeared and then messaged, I don't feel so good. So he didn't make it. But, oh, fuck, what else happened? Oh, yeah. Oh, we got fan art from that. I'm not going to show it here because it's not fitting for here. And but the thing is, it was about you, Arch. Because when Arch was trying to be clever, where Arch was doing something to be snarky, and Bubbles, when he gets drunk, thinks he's super witty and smart, and so he tried to play I gotcha by saying like something like, ah, yes, even the dumbest person in the room, Arch did this thing, and Arch didn't take the bait. I remember Bubbles lamented about you not taking the bait later. Like, oh, he didn't.
Because he proved my point. I was like,
it didn't.
I literally said Bubbles is a bitch, and Bubbles is like, yes, the dumb person thinks so. Like, yes. Thank you for
Fun.
proving my point.
One of these days we'll get Arch to drink. It'll require Dota streams, but it's a sacrifice I'm
yes,
willing
it will
to
require Dota streams, and I am almost sure I perform poorly under alcohol.
Dude, I was doing bad. Like, if you watch the gameplay, I'm just like standing there, like, and I'm thinking like to myself, like, when I was actually
You
playing,
always are just standing there. Bertram, I have to do everything, you little scumbags.
you're
Now,
just mad.
Black 1917, Hail Archchrist, out disappointingly sober Lord and Savior. Oh, I'm going to be zooming them. And Savior. I am a good person. And Boag, Dota now kibs you owe Arch. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He's a traitorous chill. He really is, too. The worst part is he's promised me this for a year plus now. He's like, I'm a lying hole. Yes,
It'll make it better when it finally happens. It's basically like savoring. Like, have you heard of it when people don't eat because the food tastes better if they don't eat for a little bit? That's what it's like doing. You don't eat for a little bit and you feel better when you eat. You're like, I'm starving to death.
Stupid.
And the food tastes better now. But it's true.
It still sounds dumb. Now, our topics for today, Blizzard 2.0, starting on a bit of a positive note, or at least a potential positive note. Tolkien was woke, that nonsense, and love Hina Mangaka warns of SJWs infiltrating Manga, because of course they are. Then we'll wrap it up with a little bit of Kyle drama horroring, and maybe we'll talk a bit about E3, because that is utterly irrelevant, and I would like to breathe a little bit of life into its dead, cold, turgid corpse.
Nice.
Very much so. So, Blizzard 2.0. This is a interesting article. Now, it doesn't really tell us anything that is particularly new, because the main studio they're talking about here, Frost Giant Studios, was, I believe, started last year, and it was a little bit of a big deal back then because they mentioned they were working on a real-time strategy game, and a bunch of their dudes are also ex-Relic employees, so there could be some interesting stuff there. However, now this is posted in Bloomberg. Now, Bloomberg is supposed to be a little bit more of a serious economic nonsense paper thingity-bob. And they do bring up an interesting point, namely that Blizzard has been hemorrhaging talent now for years. The last year was particularly bad. The whole Hong Kong thing, that cost them a lot of people. And these people aren't just, quitting the industry entirely. They're starting new companies. They're beginning new firms. And some of them are even planning to begin making products to compete with Blizzard. So maybe, just maybe, we'll actually see a, good Warcraft Reforged.
Maybe we'll see more Grey Goo as well.
Ugh. See, this is the interesting thing here, right? The real-time strategy market is a bit of a broad, tenty role because there's multiple types of real-time strategy. Like, the Blizzard style is almost its own genre compared to the Red Alert style, the Command Conquer style compared to the Relic style, and so on. But if we take this under a bit of a broad umbrella here, the RTS market, as in big title RTSs with a solid single player and competitive multiplayer component, it's as good as dead. I mean, Iron Harvest is the closest we've had to one of those games in how many years?
And it's lacking, and so did the campaign department for sure. And that's sad because it takes a little unknown studio to make a game, and that's the best we get. That's kind of pathetic.
That's the thing too. I really do feel as if Iron Harvest it's so close. Like if only they can get some more experience and then kind of, because I bet you that they're kind of feeling that emotion you get as you're 1/3 into an RPG, and you're like, I've picked all the wrong skills for this. I just want to restart now.
The thing is, at this point, I'm not sure Iron Harvest could be salvaged in its current state because of how the game is made without a massive overhaul. It might be economically more viable to wrap up whatever content support they're going to do for the content support teams and refocus everything where probably whatever the main team is doing. Which, if I had to hope, they're working on some sort of RTS sequel. Because it's normally how the larger studios work. I don't remember. King Art Games is fairly small, so they might not have like a content support team doing it. It might actually be a lot of the primaries. Because in the case of BioWare, for example, the A team will make the game, and the B team will then make all the additional DLC bullshit content later, while A team is working on project number 2.
Yeah, in the case of King Arts Games, I doubt they have the kind of manpower for that, honestly, but they made the most solid entry into that style of RTS genre since StarCraft 2, practically. I mean, you mentioned Grey Goo, and Grey Goo was lauded as like the potential savior of RTS, a potential reboot of RTS. Like, oh boy, this will bring it back into prominence. It died with a whimper. Like, it did worse than Iron Harvest, a lot worse than Iron Harvest.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's also worth mentioning that EA tipped their toes back in the water thanks to that one guy who convinced them. The guy who was head of the community management for the Command & Conquer fandom. Like, he did, what was it? Oh yeah, he basically got the ball rolling for Command & Conquer Remaster. And that was pretty well received, and as far as I know, EA was pretty happy with the results because they weren't expecting a whole lot from that little investment.
Very well received. Because that's the thing too. I really don't want to encourage the whole remaster thing necessarily.
But some games need it. Because the original Command & Conquer, I don't know about you guys, but Windows 10 is fucking awful. Most of my old games don't even work anymore. Like Emperor Battle for Doom don't work. Black and White is a nightmare to get running. It's actually tragic. I hate Windows 10. And if you haven't upgraded, don't. Enjoy your old games while you can, or you'll be sad like me.
Yes, and it's like Red Alert 2 also needs a remaster, because Red Alert 2 is a great goddamn game. And if Red Alert 1 sold it that well and was that well received, then in most ways, in fact, in almost all ways, superior Red Alert 2 is going to sell even better.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And I'm also hoping that they will then move back into the Command & Conquer franchise. You know, lay Red Alert 3 kind of dead. Because Red Alert 3 wasn't awful.
It still works today. You don't need to remaster it.
Either. Oh yeah, don't remaster it, but make Red Alert 3, but do not do it in the whole 3D style. Keep using the pixel art style. Literally just do a Red Alert style game. Do the cliche, shitey little acting personalities things. Do it in nice looking 2D sprites and all of that kind of gameplay, and just introduce that into the modern era. And I think a lot of people would love it, would lap it up.
Yeah, honestly, that would work really well. Then a benefit of, again, doing 2D, as we mentioned before, when you actually use older, like, style of visual, artistic style. Like, if you remember in Valheim, the game looks gorgeous, and it manages to get away with operating so well because it's very low poly and low res. Like, low res art is pixel art, and it's actually a really cool art style. It was originally a limitation, but honestly, a lot of developers immediately jumped to 3D, but there's still so much that you can do with low-res art. There's beautiful sprite work that you can make with that kind of games, especially nowadays because the art style itself has been refined.
Yeah, you can actually do something with it. And it's also the idea of the more classical style RTS, because we already mentioned you've kind of got the three greats. You've got the Relic style, the Blizzard style, and the Command & Conquer style. With the entry of Frost Giant, with a lot of ex-Blizzard people and some new Relic people as well, maybe we can see more of that style too, like the Warcraft style. Because the Warcraft style and StarCraft style is still very, very popular. It's just that nobody's doing it. Like, let's know, it's like the Relic style RTS. Nobody's doing it.
The thing is, they could get away with this. So Dawn of War 1 was very much its own thing, and it helped inspire company heroes. But Dawn of War 2 actually took a lot of influence from Warcraft 3. Now, if you already combine Blizzard and Relic's mentality, you get a Dawn of War 2 game. And if they have personnel, hopefully with experience from both, it stands to reason that they could probably make a Dawn of War 2-esque game pretty easily, assuming they have the people from those projects.
they could very well make a glorious combination of the both. Like, isn't they too? Like, Dawn of War 1 was
Classical,
a
kinda.
pseudo relic style strategy game, you know? It was certainly bore some of the hallmarks, like the excellent voice acting and the sound design, but it was with Company of Heroes that Relic really like made its own mark on things.
Yep.
And then eventually started to build upon that too. It's a genre that has remained so very stagnant for so very long, and of course the latest attempt to revitalize it, that crime against both the fandom and against Games Workshop
It's
and
not
everything. Dawn of War 3.
Dawn of War 3 isn't even like the original. It's not even like Dawn of War
No.
2. It's like a weird like attempt to be a MOBA, and that was a mistake. These RTS games, yes, sure, they spawned the MOBA market, but trying to make an RTS into a MOBA seems like a bad idea.
It's the whole idea of the action RTS, which just doesn't work because it inevitably ends up with the Dawn of War 3 style of pseudo balancing, where you end up at a point where units are just useless because the Imperial Knight is like, okay, I'm going to use a special ability. Oh, I wiped out everything you've ever known and loved. Imagine that.
Yeah, it's not very fun. It was not fun. I just remember it not being fun. I don't want to think about it anymore.
Don't worry, we'll play that again soon. But yeah, I really do hope that these new studios, with a lot of real pedigree in them, like a lot of people who made the greats, the team, what is it? The CEO is from Command & Conquer Generals 2. Then you've got Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, which is the game director. And you've got tons of people then from StarCraft, from Relic, etc.
Wait.
I really do hope that they've got some decent talent.
Did you just say Generals 2?
Yes.
Oh no.
To be fair, a lot of them also have. See,
that might have
that's
been
the thing,
EA's
too.
fault, but I was part of the alpha for that, and that was abysmal.
Yes. The thing is too, like, in a way, we see. Let me throw some cold water on everyone's expectations right after hyping them up here. A lot of these people too. Individual talent is not the biggest deal in designing a game. It really is a team clique style effort because you've got these people who's like engineer on a gameplay engineer on StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 Reforged. Okay, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
I mean, it always boils down to sometimes you have really talented people who just sometimes make bad things sometimes. That just happens.
Mm-hmm.
It also boils down to another thing, too. It could be that person was like, hey, I think we should do this. And the guy, executive or director at the time, was like, no. And the director made a bad call,
Yes.
which is also another possibility.
The intractability of a company like Blizzard is a big Boston thing because you get in there and you have an idea and you have to jump through 17 and a half hoops to even get it to a hearing stage, you know?
Mm-hmm. Takes a while. Takes a long while to get it rolling.
It does. But still, let's have some hope. Let's have some hope in the RTS market, as maybe we'll see a rebirth of Warcraft, of Dawn of War. Optimism. Oh. Now then, shall we move on to the hot topic of today? The Tolkien was woke nonsense.
Oh boy.
Now, I still have the actual thread because
You're not blocked.
I only retweeted them, whilst Kyle, of course, waded in there.
I had to wade in there. I always have to pot stir. Then I got blocked.
You can bring up this one. This is like an article from Bounding into Comics talking about it. Bounding into Comics is a nice website too, which I would certainly recommend.
Oh yeah, I already have it open. Derp.
Derp. But yeah, we won't go through the whole little thread because I already made a video about that. Let's instead talk a little bit more about how goddamn right we were. Literally last week, we were like, this is going to happen. It is an inevitability because Lord of the Rings is now a massive goddamn franchise, and that is going to attract a lot of people who are thinking to themselves, a payday. Or if not a payday, then influence. This is a platform I can subvert. And a lot of them, like the OneRing.net people, like these are a bunch of dudes running a bloody Twitter account for a website. Like these aren't personalities. They don't have the charisma to run it on their own. They've literally latched onto a name as a fan site, and now they're beginning to editorialize, essentially, you know?
Yep.
And it's because of power. They think like, oh, look at all these people we have following me, they think, as they sit there on a fan account for a fan site and so on.
Yeah, oh my god. People like that on Twitter. Oh my fucking god. So Arch just nailed one of the cancerous things on Twitter, that, and just any platform in general, not just Twitter. But like people will make fan accounts and it'll dedicate it to posting like, oh, check out this cool model made for Lord of the Rings, or check out this cool artwork. And people will follow it. And then once they get a big enough following, they're like, and it's time to reveal my true colors. like some sort of fucking shitty comic book villain. And then like, actually, SJWs were right, and the fandom should be subverted, and Tolkien was a super woke bro, you know, and they just keep going on and on and on and on, trying to immediately hijack it and make it about them. Like that is most fan accounts or fan anything. Like these people are parasites. They like to latch themselves and attach themselves to a pre-existing IP and use that as a mask to basically subvert other people. That's at least what they try to do. But the problem is, most people don't care. Like, I like Lord of the Rings, and this fan account, you're like, okay, we have a common interest in Lord of the Rings, but the minute you try to subvert it, like, I don't really care what your opinion is. It's silly.
It's inevitable. Like, this is why we managed to predict this before it happened, because this is the playbook. Now, again, I want to reiterate, too, like, if you have an interest in Lord of the Rings, then, yeah, going after this one Twitter account, arguing with them, is going to achieve nothing. This is a bunch of little incompetents sitting in a room somewhere, whinging, not even whinging at something, coming up with a completely random straw man that is Ian McKellen was apparently a controversial choice for Lord of the Rings, which, really? Then people are like, hey, can you back this up? Who the hell was arguing that Ian McKellen was the worst thing to have happened to Lord of the Rings, in their words? Bigot, we don't have to educate you on everything.
Yeah, I don't think anybody cared about Ian McKellen. I know Chris Lee wasn't he friends with Tolkien? I think he wanted to actually play the role of Gandalf, if I remember right. But he just got stuck with Sauron bit, which he did a fantastic job.
He did a fantastic job as Sauron, but he did want to play Gandalf.
Or Saruman.
No, honestly,
fuck, I'm retarded. Help
Sauron,
me.
Details. But Chris Lee looks evil.
He does. He also plays a fucking, like, he plays Count Dooku, and he's just fantastic at being a bad guy character.
Yes. Christopher Lee just looks evil. I'm sorry, but he is the perfect villain. He really is.
He's got that perfect voice for it, too.
And as I reiterated as well, like, Ian McKellen was not in any way, shape, or form a closet homosexual. Like, he was open about this. And as much as I do love his role as Gandalf, I also got to point out he was a little bit of an ass when it came to his political activism of this. A little bit of a proto-SJW, in fact. I know, it's mean, it's horrible, but one of the things I reacted quite poorly to was that apparently when he was talking to a politician discussing a bill that they were trying to introduce, this bill was specifically saying that the government cannot promote gayness or any sexuality. The government has no business with this, which I'm entirely in agreement with. The government should not be promoting anything in that way, be it heterosexuality, homosexuality, whatever. It's not the government's goddamn business.
Yes.
But after having this debate, the politician was like, okay, I mean, we're sorry we disagree on this, but could you write an autograph to my children? Because they're huge fans.
Of course.
And he agreed.
Oh,
and then he wrote, fuck you, I'm gay, on the autograph to the man's children.
Oh, that is fucking, like, that is extraordinarily unprofessional. The thing is...
Yeah, like, at that point, just say no.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Like, this is just a simple thing. Like, these kids don't need to be involved in that. The fact that he wants to involve kids in that dispute is creepy and almost pedophilic in a way. But it's just wrong. Like, it's
That's
like
a step too far. Condemn.
just weird. Like, why would you do that? Like, oh, these are for little kids, and it's like, yes, I'm gonna write that on there. Like, do you not have any like conscience? It's like, oh yeah, the little kids. Fuck your dad, by the way. I really fucking hate him.
I just thought it was extraordinarily rude, and it was also lauded at the time. Like, look at this proud and brave thing. I'm like, this is just being an asshole, right?
Wow, I just lost a lot
this
of
is just
respect
being
for
an
Ian
asshole.
McKellen today, though. I didn't even know that happened, but Jesus Christ, that's embarrassing.
I really didn't like that because he was very openly political about this as well. But here comes the important part. He has an absolute right to say whatever the hell he wants about this, and I have a right to say he was a rude little bastard
Yep.
about this. But it did not, and this is the important part again, it did not influence his acting role in the slightest. And that is what he should be lauded for. Like, he did a
restrain himself with
fantastic
that,
job.
at least.
I
But
don't even
again,
think he
that's
restrained himself. Like, I think he had pride in both being gay and as an actor, as a professional.
Do you take pride in being a heterosexual?
That's another argument, isn't it?
Like, pride itself is not it's not a virtue.
It
it's
is
a
not
vice.
a virtue, no.
It's okay to take pride in your work, or a little bit of pride, but pride is an easy step down the roads of just being an absolute cunt. So in my mind, like, you have to be careful. It's okay to take pride in your work and to be prideful in some things, but to be prideful in general is not a good trait.
Well, that is another interesting segue, isn't it? Because, of course, they also went on to say that Tolkien was totally woke. Tolkien, as a devout Catholic, I showed a couple pictures of some of the truly appalling stuff that has gone down at gay pride parades, which I think actual gay people would condemn strongly, as it often involves goddamn children. But I do not think Tolkien for a second would agree with the idea of pride for pride's sake.
Pride for pride's sake is bad. That is extraordinarily bad. And the thing about, like, Tolkien being quote-unquote woke is this is also a silly, outlandish notion. Tolkien was a reasonable man. And of course, he's like, yeah, no, every man should be fairly treated equally. No shit.
Mhm.
We all deserve to be treated
Vehement
equally.
opponent of the Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not woke-like behavior. Woke is the extreme politicization of that, where it's actually become, like, the wokeists themselves are inherently sexist and racist. They are the modern day, like, fascists. Like what fucking, what was it, Churchill said? The next form of fascism we see will be like in the form of the anti-fascist. I'm paraphrasing quite a bit.
I must crush your dreams and hopes there, Kyle, by informing you that that is, in fact, sadly, a fake quote.
That's not real? Oh, who's
Nope.
that from then?
I don't remember off the bat, but I do know that is a misquote.
Okay. Well, you learn something new every day. Now, who said that? Chat, do you know?
Chat probably doesn't know.
I was
Chat
thinking it
is
was
a fine hive
Winston.
mind.
That was a wrong person. I misquoted for somebody else. Wrong credit.
And that is the thing too. Like, our current society fetishizes actors to a hilarious degree. Like, the Romans had the right approach to this. The actors were some of the lowliest creatures on earth.
Well, the thing about actors, they should just be treated as equals. They don't deserve the special treatment. They don't deserve to be worshipped and lauded. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we attribute wisdom to them in a strange way. Like, when a famous person says something, it suddenly has gravitas to it. And you have to then ask yourself, like, this has happened in sports too now, which is even more ridiculous. Like, a professional basketball player involves themselves in politics whilst bending the knee to China. And you really have the urge to say, like, man, you put a ball in a hoop for a living, okay? That's impressive. I couldn't do that as well as you could. But that does not give you a license to comment on world politics.
Yes. It's like, yes, because I can play with balls really well, means that my opinion is now infinitely superior to anyone else, because I'm really good with balls. It's like, okay. Thank you for sharing.
Hey,
Thank you.
I recognize the slight hypocrisy in that as well, because I'm not a philosopher or university graduate on any of this, but I do endeavor to go in depth and examine the topics I talk about. And at the end of the day, I have never presented myself as anything else than a rando talky person on the internet.
Yeah, we're just, we're not really shit posting, but we're just sort of spouting our opinions on the internet. And whether you agree or disagree is totally up to you guys. You don't have to agree with everything we say. We don't have to agree with everything you guys say. That's just the nature of dialogue, which is apparently racist, by the way. You can't do that anymore.
Of course it is. But the Amazon series is coming up, and we are probably not going to see the likes of Sir Ian McKellen, a person who will take the role and elevate the role above his own politics, above himself. And that is where the real gatekeeping clinch comes in. Because again, the Lord of the Rings Twitter account is facile, it's worthless, it doesn't mean anything.
It's just a Twitter
Amazon?
account.
Bearing in mind, companies have demonstrated again and again, they don't actually give a shit about the politics. They care about the profits. If they are called out actively on this, if it happens, which it probably will, that will have consequences. Again, when you're trying to gatekeep something like this, you have to look for the largest conceivable podium from which to do it from. Which is why me and Kyle are planning to cover the Lord of the Rings Amazon series, because that'll be hilarious. And hey, as we said before we even started, if it's great, fantastic. Awesome. Great. Yeah. If it's terrible, fantastic. Awesome.
Fantastic. We can still profit off it, even if we're miserable watching it.
It's the same for us. Like, if it's good, then fantastic again. That actually means our fears were unwarranted.
I would rather be wrong, too. Like, if it's a good show, that means we have more good Lord of the Rings content. And that's a win for the fandom. That's a win for everybody. If it's bad, well, then we just get to make fun of it.
The best possible outcome is that grumpy old cynics like us are completely wrong on this.
Yes, and I'd rather be wrong, because if it means we're being wrong, like when we're talking about games or anything like that, because we have a very pessimistic outlook, don't we? I think so. And if we're wrong, that's awesome, because we get a good game or we get a good show, and you know what? At the end of the day, that's better than having a bad show, because I'm getting real sick of bad shows. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
I'm tired of it.
I swear I was an optimist just 5 years ago.
It felt like that. It felt like, God. I remember, like, back when the PS2 and the Xbox 360 days, like the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, it was like, everything was just happy. There was, like, good games, good shows, everything was fine. And then it's like, it all of a sudden just felt like a switch was flipped when I finally started realizing, because I remember when Gamergate was happening, and I was like, I didn't care. Like, everybody's like, Gamergate, and I'm like, meh, I just play video games. I just want to grill. You know, that kind of mentality. And then it wasn't until I just started seeing it take place in the forums of, like, Creative Assembly, where people just started, like, censoring people and stuff like that. It's like, that's just dumb. Like, this is about a video game. This is about a piece of fiction, and yet we're, like, overly politicizing it. And that's when I finally... The word woke is retarded. I was like, that's when I finally awoke to the idea of, like, SJWs and all that stuff, and I started seeing that stuff. Like, this is disgusting.
Kyle awoken.
Yeah. Because I think everybody here, even you, had reached that point where you were, like, just trying to mind your own business, and then just the shit just kept piling up, always. Just keeps smacking you in the face, and you just get sick of it.
And you realize that minding your own business is not going to actually help.
No, because they'll attack you. Like, Stone Toss is kind of a little bit retarded, but he's got this one comic that's actually sensible. That's with the wheel thing that rolls to the left, crushing people. It's like, I think it's time to stop. Well, I'm not far down the left side, but, like, I'm far down the line from getting crushed. But I see that wheel coming, and I'm like, I think it's time we stop that wheel. Like, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't do this cancel culture stuff. Maybe we should stop. Maybe that's a bad thing. We all have different opinions, but being canceled for opinions is the most dumbest thing I think ever. But whatever.
Whatever, indeed. Right, so let's go through some of the super chats that have come in the meantime, because I do like interjecting a little bit with the viewers' opinions on all of this. And I'm going to have to get to the back end here, as YouTube is, of course, like, did you need to read that? I don't think you needed to read that, and deleted most of it again.
Nice.
One Streamlabs Superchat, Glowy. Yes, of course, the traditional Christian WASP veteran of World War One is totally woke progressive. The man had based a lot of his work on the Bible, a man that disliked corporations destroying the old tradition way of life in England. Yeah, right. Yep. That is the thing. Wasn't it? Oh, I don't remember who it was, but I think it was somebody in like Tolkien's friend group who really hated Disney because he viewed what they were doing as basically taking fairy tales and copywriting them. So they would take a fairy tale, somebody else had written down, somebody else had collected, they would remake it in animated form, and they would slap a copyright stamp on it. And he was very angry about that. Ah, poor Tolkien. And Glowy donates another one on Super Chat. Woke is pride for pride's sake. That is completely their ideology. Fat, be proud. You stick your dick in, pooper, be proud. Mentally ill, be proud. The wokest wish to banish shame or any concept of inferior traits or persons only for their enemies alone. That is the thing, isn't it? We were considering actually bringing up the combat wheelchair this week, because that's been up in the news again. But it's a nice point to notice here. So if you haven't heard of it, Dungeons and Dragons introduced a combat wheelchair.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yes. For characters that couldn't walk. So it's and everybody hated it. Everybody hated it because it was so idiotic. It's like, this is D&D. Just snap your fingers and you've cured your legs. What the hell? And so, of course, they had to go like, actually, some people don't want to be cured. Like, being crippled is a part of their identity. And all I can imagine from that is that, like, is it the Monty Python skit with the beggar, like the pox-ridden beggar in the streets who's healed by the holy man? He's like, what did you do that for? I was living the good life, yeah? Didn't have to work or nothing. Now you come and heal me.
Oh my god. The idea is so silly, Lo. It's like, okay, like, your identity is your disability? Is your personality that hollow? Like, what the fuck? It's like identifying as your sexuality. It's like, wow, you are not a very interesting person, are you?
It's worse. It's so much worse. Like, at least your sexuality is a pretty core part of you as a human being. It determines a fair bit about your behavior. If you're gay, you're probably going to look for partners of the same sex. Like, that's a thing. But not being able to walk, that as a key character trait, what? You're... To put it somewhat meanly, okay, this is your flaw, shall we put it, right? I'm being a bit mean here, but fuck it. You are a burden to society. Being mean, again, you take taxpayer money for the state to cater to your needs. And this is right, because you didn't want to be this way. Unless, of course, you're one of those people who actually crippled themselves on purpose because they wanted this to be their identity.
Or dysphoria.
That has happened, by the way.
Yeah.
And to have that be, like, something to be proud of then? Like, that's a key part of your character? Really? Really? You are a lesser member of society. And this is a good thing. How decadent have we become?
Thing is...
Like, it's nothing... Let me just finish the point. Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of either, but it's certainly not something that you'd be like, I am my lack of walkies.
Yeah, and the thing is, most people I've met that are crippled or seen online, like personalities-wise, like, they ascend above their station because what they do. Sometimes they're harder working than you and I, because they go above and beyond to be, like, productive and do stuff. That's, like... Just because you're crippled doesn't mean you're gonna be like useless or whatever. Sure, you are, you know, cursed with something because of genetics or maybe, you know, an accident. It's not your fault. One of our family friends fell off a balcony and is paralyzed from the neck down, and he's now regaining like feeling of his limbs and stuff. And you know, it's scary, but like, that person, we're not gonna like abandon you because you're crippled, because that's ridiculous. It's like nobody gets left behind. We help those who cannot help themselves because we have the strength to do so.
Mm-hmm. It's dumb. Goddamn SJWs. Goddamn.
Yeah. They will manipulate cripples to use for political power because they are that weak and pathetic.
They are monsters. Florian Ice Schatten, did the boomer lore? A lawyer, I take it. Nick, come back at you. He at least wanted to. Ah, yes, sorry, Kita. I have been told again and again that he wanted to ask me to get on his show. I have him on Discord. I've sent him a friend request and everything, but I don't think he knows how Discord works, perhaps. Because I have not heard anything from him. So keep yelling at him, I guess. Lupus Damon on Private Mordheim, please, Arch.
That was a generous donation, too. I remember that.
Yes, it is. $24. It's a lot of money. I probably could put it in Odyssey or something. I don't know.
My Odyssey, though. You might as well just transfer it, like, hold on. You could just transfer it to this channel.
I don't want.
It would not take too long.
I don't want.
If you do select series.
Kyle, shame on your soul.
No, I'm looking out for them. They just want the content that you provide that they love. And you're denying them that content.
I am. You know why?
Because you're a bad person. That's why.
No, it's a strategy.
Like,
it'll make them want other content even more, and they'll click on it faster.
That's not really how that works. If you want a potato,
that is exactly how
and you offer them a strawberry, they're going to want the potato still.
Well, no. That's the thing. I give them a strawberry, and then, oh, this is delicious. What is it? Well, it's basically flower buds, so I guess you're gay now? Oh, well.
That was mean.
I still like it, though. Can I have more? Like, yes.
They're still going to want potatoes.
But in a month. And then they'll be like, oh, but they'll really look forward to the strawberry, okay? This is a strategy.
This is manipulation, and this is abusive.
This is a strategy.
Give them the potatoes.
Maybe I'll feed them potatoes occasionally. They'll look at me funny when I give them the strawberries. Why is potato red?
That's not a potato, son.
Xeon. Thoughts on the story for 40k Inquisitor Martyr, particularly the lore implications of the Alpha Pariah. Sadly, I got so goddamn bored with that halfway Diablo clone, I never got into the story, tragically.
Yeah, same. We both tried playing it, actually.
Several times. But yeah. I couldn't. I really couldn't. Jesus is here. Look busy. That is a long name. Hi, Arch. Have you played or would you consider doing a review of the old RTS game Starship Troopers Terran Ascendancy? Keep up the good work from Britain. Thank you very much. I've played it like 3 times because I actually really enjoyed it and I love the Starship Troopers setting. I bet you I couldn't get it to work. I'm almost sure.
See, I tried to play that game not that long ago, but for whatever reason, Windows 10, the way it recognizes old games and their old DRM that they had on the CDs, and like for Emperor Battle for Dune, it just doesn't work because it doesn't register it as a game. It like locks up and thinks it's an illegitimate copy or something like that. I couldn't get Terran Ascendancy to work, and I couldn't get 1,000 other games to work. Thanks, Windows. Thanks, Microsoft. I love you so fucking much.
Microsoft. We will force your ass to upgrade, quote unquote.
If you
do whatever we say.
Don't upgrade. Enjoy your old games while you can. I will keep warning people. It's not worth it. It's not.
Samuel Eddy. So talking about RTS, what do you think is going to happen to Age of Empires 4? Ah, yes. Age of Empires 4. The greatest sign we've ever seen that Relic is in deep, deep monetary shit after Dawn of War 3.
My question is, why did Microsoft pick them up?
I think it was the other way around. I'm pretty sure they went to Microsoft and went like, we've lost all our monies, boss. We made a really bad game.
Well, generally, Microsoft has a tendency to put out serviceable products at the very least. Microsoft games or Xbox games or whatever they call, they have a pretty good track record of producing functional or, if at the very least, games. So, if nothing else, it'll be mediocre, and at best, it'll be a really good game. So, I mean, hopefully the latter, because let's be honest, guys, who wants a good Age of Empires? I would love one. It's been so long. They've only been giving us remasters of the other ones.
My petulant kind of wants Relic to just crash and burn and be thrown out onto the street for the crime that was Dawn of Wars 3.
But my love for the Age of Empires formula and how just archaically adorable it is, I love it. It's so old and good.
That's lovely, Kyle, but nevertheless, the person who made Dawn of War 3 deserves to be outside in the middle of winter, but with a cup of coffee, okay? On that, I'm gentle enough to say that.
Look, if this succeeds, they might remaster Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, the Age of Empires for Star Wars. That would be amazing, and that would be a win for humanity.
Would be derpy.
I want to play as the Gungans again. Oh my god.
For what I've seen so far, Age of Empires 4 looks interesting. I like the idea of the whole wall things, where you can actually be on the walls. The line of sight stuff is very relic-y. I like that. But I'm a little bit worried, because already in the fairly limited gameplay footage we've seen, now that in and of itself is a warning flag, the fact that we have been shown next to nothing, in the larger confrontations, and in larger battles, I mean, like, it looks like there's maybe 30, 40 units on the screen. It already starts to chug in the gameplay trailers. What have you done here? This is
I mean, in early access or stuff like that, or early development stuff, when you show up footage, like, I don't know. I can see it lagging because, like, when we introduced our dynamic lighting system into our game, like, the Unity was like, well, let me just overcomplicate this, and it's like, and it just correct, borderline just leg to death. So sometimes, in the earlier stages of development, some code has yet to be optimized, and once you clean that up, then it just it runs smooth like butter. Like, it was never a problem to begin with. So maybe, but again, that is something that warrants concern. You shouldn't dismiss it, but you should always be aware of it. It's like, okay, that happened. So is there an actual deep underlying issue, or is it just something they haven't finished ironing out because it's that early in development still?
I don't like your optimism. Go away.
That's not optimism. That's skepticism.
That sounds too optimistic for me.
God damn.
Relic deserves this for what they did to my boy.
Revenge for Dawn of War 3.
I do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Think about it, okay? The name Relic is just a company name. Most of the people in there might have already left. The people that were responsible for Dawn of War.
But the torture that crushes your balls in a wine wrench is also just an employee.
Yeah, but that employee might have moved.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow him.
Blame the individuals in charge. Relic is just a name.
You don't understand, Kyle. Certain degrees of vengeance goes beyond a simple individual. Like, we're talking John Wick level shit here. We're talking kill their dogs first, then go after them.
Bad Blondie. Bad.
That's too soft. He's like, but it's horrible though. Yes, that is indeed the point. Maran Gantu, they recently balance patched Iron Harvest. Good. They do need to balance patch that. Mr. Frenzy, Arch, why no Skaven RP? Bad Arch, squeak. It's not Sunday today.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. Last time was because Dev was Dev, and Dev is always Dev.
He had some family business, which, honestly, this stuff happens. We'll miss a session here and there, but it's not like it's going to be the end of the world. We'll still be playing the game. It's not canceled.
Yeah, the ArchCast is far more steady because Kyle doesn't have a life, and my life is lived entirely inside of my house.
Speaking of the ArchCast, I do have a wedding to attend next Saturday, so that might intervene with the ArchCast time. If we do it earlier or pre-record it, we can do that.
Just shoot them all?
No, not gonna shoot my cousin just because he's getting married. That's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, but you'd save him a lot of heartache.
What if it's a good marriage? That doesn't sound like saving heartache. I just denied him happiness. Poor Arch.
Shame.
Okay, Blondie, I forgive you.
Back in 1917, Ted Alert 3 was made for the esports crowd.
Ooh, Ted Alert.
Ted Alert 3. That's a good name.
We need a mod for it. A conversion kit. It may have been made for the esports crowd, but it actually grew on me. I actually hated Red Alert 3 at launch. I was like, this is dumb. But now I find myself revisiting it because the co-op campaign is kind of gimmicky, but also fun. It's actually a really good co-op campaign. You need to use the CNC-net hooker, though, to get it to work.
Received a lot more stick than it necessarily deserved.
Now, 4, on the other hand.
Oh, yes. It was not as good as 2, because it lacked a lot of the charm. It really did. The full motion cutscenes were not as hammy, and when they were hammy in the wrong way, as in literal horror, sitting there like, I'm Tanya.
Hold on.
Wench,
it gave us the best scene ever. Tim Curry saying space at the end of the Russian campaign line. I'm going to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space. Oh, it was great.
That's true. But yes, it was one of many games that was cursed, because this was a thing back then, because of the success of StarCraft and that kind of shit. Every company was like, we need an esports. No, you don't need an esports. The esports scene is not profitable. Like, it's like 2 companies that earn money from this. It's Riot and it's Valve with Dota and Lord of the Rings. That other silly game. League of Legends, knows it.
League of Legends, okay.
Yes. They're like the only ones. Like, even Blizzard with their StarCraft thing, most of those like casting studios that was over in Korea, most of those were losing money because it's not that interesting. People are not ready for esports on a large scale yet. And if your game has the potential to be esportsy, it cannot be forced. It is something that will happen organically or not at all. Head Alert 3. Brett Verdesheim, what is the proper name for the economy for CNC and Warcraft? Is it fixed versus overclocked?
What? No, I've never heard of that. CNC in what game?
What is the proper name for the economy for CNC and Warcraft? Is it fixed versus overclocked?
I don't know. Honestly, when talking about RTS genres, there's resource gathering. So it's like, how big is resource gathering in an RTS? In Age of Empires, it's a pretty big deal because you have different types of resources. Command & Conquer, you have like one resource, it's either Tiberium or ore. Tiberium's a lot more interesting, but I like the idea of drilling up ore on the ground. You pick it up in the middle of a war zone. That's kind of great.
Condemn.
I like resource gathering games.
Condemn.
They're kind of fun. They had a dynamic where you're like, oh, cool, I have to focus on resources. Versus Supreme Commander has resource gathering, but it's more like resource management, wasn't it?
Yes, because the resources are technically infinite.
They're infinite, and the way you can get it, and you can basically just stack it. And the idea is to be spending at a certain level, because Supreme Commander is like a macro game, it's not micro, which is the opposite of the other RTSs. Just in the same way, sort of like Sins of Solar Empire is. That's another weird aspect of RTS. Like, RTS subgenres are amazing. There's so many, and so many that never got explored. Like Sins of Solar Empire, Supreme Commander. 2 like really unique modern ideas for RTS genres that just never got explored further for whatever reason.
And that was your fault.
It was your fault. You should have bought 10 more copies. Every one of you should have bought 10 copies of Forge Alliance when it came out. You all didn't, though. And now because you didn't do it, now it's dead. Gas-powered games is dead.
They deserved it, though. They made Supreme Commander 2.
That was a truly bad... Okay, why Supreme Commander 2 failed? Because it was made for consoles. They specifically dumbed it down so they could make the console version better than the Supreme Commander one that they did before. And that was a mistake. I don't know why console-based RTSs are a thing, but they need to stop. It just hurts RTSs as a whole. They do. Tell me where they have an Arch. Tell me when it has...
too, but the even worse thing that they did, they were lying little whenchy whoreholes, because every single solitary trailer that happened before they released the game looked like it was going to be a proper Supreme Commander game. It all looked like it was going to be massive battles, and it turns out they just clipped it very suggestively.
It's like, oh, it's on a massive scale, just like the other Supreme Commander. The maps are tinier. You have less units. You even have a pop cap. The thing is with the pop cap, the only reason why they have that in the original Supreme Commander is to prevent your computer from fucking melting. That was the reason. Oh god, it got so laggy late game. Oh, sad. Homeworld Cataclysm. That is an underrated one. Those ones are kind of resource management. The Homeworld series and the Cataclysm one's really good. Also, it's not Homeworld Cataclysm, it's Homeworld Emergence now, because Blizzard threatened to sue them. And so they changed the cover, or the title, if you buy it on GOG, to Homeworld Emergence. Thanks, Blizzard. Because people will totally mix up Homeworld Cataclysm for World of Warcraft Cataclysm. Yep, that's a thing that's going to happen. No,
Crazy
Halo
Loon.
wasn't. Oh, no, sorry.
Shut that filth.
George's Rex said something heretical. Halo Wars is not well enough. Halo Wars is fucking casual and watered down. Halo Wars canceled Halo Gen, which was a Halo mod coming out for Generals, because Microsoft was like, yeah, this PC mod for Generals is totally going to compete for our console-exclusive RTS game. So fuck Halo Wars, because it canceled one of the coolest mods that was coming out for Generals. No, you do not get to like that game. Rescind your liking of that game right now. Okay, you can continue.
Condemn. Crazy Loon, to quote heel versus babyface, Sir Ian McKellen is a treasure. He is. Was. Right. Was. Kyle? Was?
Who? What? I was too busy typing at that guy because I'm mad still.
So Ian McKellen.
Yeah, what about him?
Is a treasure, was a treasure.
The thing is, Ian McKellen's acting is really good. Like, I love his acting.
Never mind. Is a treasure.
Is
For some
a treasure?
reason I thought he was dead.
Oh, was? Oh, that's what you were insinuating. He's dead.
Yes, dumbass.
No. He's not dead yet. It's sad I say that.
Yeah, that's cruel.
But we're all gonna die, okay? Sadly, Christopher Lee's dead, and that's tragic.
That was the one, yes.
Yeah.
That was it.
He's dead, sadly.
I disavow Kyle saying those mean things.
I don't disavow it.
And Crazy Loon again. Fun fact, Tolkien was such a devout Catholic that even after they changed the Mass language settings to local, he would still sing the Mass in Latin. Oh yes, that definitely sounds like the kind of person who would be totally on board with the modern-day SJW nonsense. Entirely. Like, oh, you want to make children into girls? Oh yes, this is, I think I read this about in the Bible somewhere. Yes, right here. Shall burn forever in hell. That was it. No objections? Good. Oh boy, even more. Right. A couple of Streamlabs ones. Joseph Curvan, are you still excited for the Eisenhorn series, or is it now a source of impending dread? These Tao/Amazon have brought such amazing gifts. Surely we should accept them. Cautious optimism, because we haven't seen anything of it yet, so I'm just going to be like, meh, I'll see. I have heard rumors that they're going to make several of the characters race swapped, so
Race swapped.
Glowy, Arch the Punisher of Bad Games was born the day he played Dawn of War 3. He saw something he loved get raped, then beaten to death in front of him. I did, and I shall carry out my vengeance. Even though Kyle, the soft-hearted Samaritan little shit, who will be stepped on forevermore by Bad Games because he's too weak to do what needs to be done.
When is being a Samaritan a bad thing? What the fuck? It's like, it's a vice, not a virtue.
Samaritan was soft. Samaritan was weak. He should have left the man to bleed there so that he could grow stronger from his failings.
See, I tried that with Mass Effect, and the Batarian just died. You know the quest.
You did it wrong. Glowy, resource management, manage, PTSD activate to Sargon campaign on an island. Ah, yes. I remember when Sargon told me, oh, it'll just be like one session, maybe two. Just tell me what you need and I'll give you a price for it. I wrote out an autistic list down to like how many nails I was going to need so that I could just have this done. And then Sargon was like, right, we're gonna do this now for about 2 months.
I remember in between one of the fucking VTM sessions, I was just sitting there, everyone had left, and Arch and I were just talking, and V comes in, and then V's like, hey, let me tell you a story, and then Arch just gets all salty, and then they just retell the story of the campaigns they played with Sargon, and they lament about it, how bad it was for like hours. And it's like, dude, that did not sound fun. Nobody there was.
I think a lot of it was fun, but
the way you were bitching about it didn't sound like
sometimes Sargon's autism gets the better of him.
Sometimes sounds like a lot of the time. Poor boomer. He's just an old man.
Edward says, Arch, I hear you're a big fan or big Sargon fan. Would you ever do an interview thing with him? I should. I'll go over to England and visit his podcast of the Gay Eaters once the Voldemort virus has subsided. I shall be sitting there and be like, all of these plants and pink lights really makes me question your sexuality. And he'll laugh and be like, yes, I've always have been gay. I have a good cover, though. You were supposed to object there. Kyle, you're doing a very bad job.
I don't have to. I'll just ignore you and see what you do. You'll get sad. Soon he'll grovel for forgiveness, Jan. It's all about laying siege to his feelings.
Something falls on your foot again.
That was a bug, and it wasn't something falling on my foot. And I brushed it away, and that was yesterday.
Nevertheless. As began, I've suddenly reached my breaking point for today. Given the events of Godblight, speaking of, Archie, check your DMs. I know, I saw it. But I don't respond to DMs half the time. Because I'm just like, I'll respond to this later. And then it's like, I have forgotten something.
It really, with Arch, it depends. Because Arch will respond to some people, and he won't respond to others. This is true. I know this because many people are like, I DM'd Arch. And I'm like, well, you didn't respond. Clearly you weren't important enough. Arch is cold like that. Now, me, on the other hand, I just forget. I look at him like, I'll get back to that. And then I close it like, did somebody forget? Something
That's incorrect, Kyle. You're just bad at things.
Rude.
But yes, Godblight, where Gilliman invades the realms of chaos and burns down Nurgle's gardens, because that's a thing that can happen now in modern 40k. It's fine. I've basically decided that 40k ended about 4 or 5 years ago. Fine. It's okay.
That's kind of sad, because I know you really like that.
No, Kyle. You don't get to be sad, because you've proven yourself unworthy by not supporting my vengeance.
Look at Arch. She's like, you didn't side with me.
Avdi Muhammad donates Swedish things to say, hey, Arch, recognize Republic of Somaliland in successfully local and parliamentary elections despite lack of internal support and recognition. Do I want to recognize the Republic of Somaliland?
Do they have elections?
I don't know if I want to.
I mean, elections are good. Means people got to vote.
The Soviet Union had elections.
Did they have? I mean, if they had legitimate elections, that's good. That's a good move.
Yeah, as Stalin put it, we have open elections. There's lots of votes, but we're the one who counts the votes.
Well, if it's an illegitimate election, that sucks. And honestly, it's regrettable that Africa suffers from all the corruption it does, because they sit atop of some of the most amazing resource deposits.
You need to shut your little hole right now, okay? You need to stop speaking, because YouTube reacts poorly to the mention of elections.
They do? Oh.
Very poorly.
Whoops. God forbid we talk
YouTube
about
is
it.
not fond of that discussion right now.
See, I don't even
Very
get why
touchy.
I don't get why there's so censorship with us. Like, all we do is just talk about
really,
stuff.
Kyle? You don't understand why? Kyle, I'll beat you. I will fucking hit you over the head with it.
Think about
No,
it.
Kyle, I will not think about it. I will not thought crime against Susan.
Think, your brain wants to. Like, why would they do that? That's kind of mean, actually.
There's no suggestion whatsoever in the fact that YouTube suddenly decided to crack down on even the mention of the word election. It's fine.
You said it. You said the word. I didn't say it. There, he said it right there. You can't even be mad at me. You have to rescind your madness. Take it back. Now you're mad at yourself equally with me. Yes. Equality for all.
It's not elections is a fine word, Kyle. It's the other one, the other word you use. We don't use that word.
Oh,
here.
can you remind me what word it was?
No.
I don't remember. Actually, I have no idea what the word was. I might use it again if you don't tell me.
Well, Kyle, I will bury you in a shallow grave. Now, Luke Jones sends super chat with no message, so I'll take that as God telling me to move on with the show because we did super chat for a while there. I was thinking of just popping into it, but then people go like, "I'm gonna send a message now."
There's stuff to be read out and to be commentated on. That's understandable.
Yes. And thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. You are lovely people. We'll move on to our last proper topic before we go on to a little bit of other nonsense, though. The creator of Love, Hina, warns of SJWs infiltrating manga. Now, this is something we've already kind of knew was going to happen, and is actually already occurring in localization, where they will take a anime like Kobayashi-san no Maid Dragon, for example, and they'll radically change the meaning of words and sentences. Like, there's one scene in which Quetzalcoatl, the big-titted dragon, says like, "Oh yeah, no, I hate the way the men look at my ginormous honkers," or something. Not what they said at all, but they're like, "Oh, misogyny." Actually, hold on there for Kyle. Make squeaky noises.
Look at those titties. Chad's like, damn, those are big
titties. Make squeaking noises. There we go. Here, Kyle.
I feel like I'm gonna get you fucking strikes for something for looking at this.
Yes. Don't worry, it's fine in the video, just not in the thumbnail. But yes, look at that picture right there, and you will see the exact thing. So, for those who are just listening, in the subs it says, Toru asks, "What's with that outfit?" And Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl, "Everyone was always saying something to me, so I tried toning down the exposure. How is it?" Basically, she's a big-titted dragon wearing a tank top, and so people were hitting on her. In the fun animation dub, Toru says, "What are you wearing that for?" And Quetzalcoatl says, "Oh, those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves, so I changed clothes." Shame.
Did they? These dubs are awful.
Shame.
Like, they're not even remotely accurate. Do they even know how to translate? Like, I have to ask.
Oh, yeah, they probably know how to translate, but they don't want to. They want to have points put in a little bit of a point there.
This is another example of people hijacking other people's work to insert their own political opinions into. Not uncommon. Pathetic, but it's deplorable.
And I want to point out a very key point here as well. The guy this was a talk that he held, and he was asked, like, "What do you think about political correctness?" Because they haven't been hit with the SJW wave yet. The Japanese are still on the PC culture thing. Oh, they have a lot of interesting things in store for them. He said, so far, when Japanese manga is at the stage of looking at the world, there's a pressure on the scene to meet more global standards. And I just want to point out, more global standards. This is the language that Amazon used. When they're like, "Oh yes, our TV series needs to appeal to a global audience." The Lord of the Rings has sold 150 million copies in 38 languages. I think it already appeals to a global audience. Manga, like Demon Slayer, has sold like 100 million copies as well. Or for its volumes. Not copies, but entire volumes. It's outsold one manga. Demon Slayer alone outsold the entirety of the Western comic market. They're already appealing to a global standard. People love it. They must be able to see that this is not a global standard. SJWs do not have a global standard. They are not the arbiters of what is correct and what people want. In fact, they are the anti-arbiters. Listen to them, and your shit gonna get less popular.
On top of that, what's ironic about them, they always preach about like imperialism bad, but here they are being cultural imperialists, trying to dictate their whims and their views on others.
Mm-hmm. Of course, he also repeats points that you should be allowed freedom of expression, and as you pointed out, Love Hina is a relatively old manga now. And as Kyle can point out from the artwork, it is a bit of a raunchy manga. Oh, yes. It has some pantsus in it, it has some exposure. Now, I remember actually back in the day as well, people would look at this and go and would cross themselves like, oh dear Jesus, how can this immorality stand? As the hardcore Christians whinging about this thing. The horseshoe is real, ladies and gentlemen. It's out there. It's looking at you right now, and it is laughing. It is laughing.
Yep. The thing is, Puritans have just changed colors. Before we had the super Catholic Christian, like, Puritans were like, it's immoral, blah, 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 blah. Video games are immoral. Now, it's the new Puritans, and their tactic is to hijack what we like by inserting themselves into it and then trying to subvert it. A bit more toxic than the Christian ones. Christian ones would just bitch and moan and cross themselves.
Thing. Like, the Christian Puritans were bad as well, but most of them, the overwhelming majority, were the Tolkien style of Christian Puritans who would have their faith. It was a personal thing. It was their thing. They would not bring it onto others. They might make the argument if asked to do so. They might say why it's right for them. They might even try to convince you if you're talking to them specifically on this subject, but they didn't try to change the laws. And when they did, it was almost universally unsuccessful. Think of Jack Thompson. He achieved nothing. And then you look at the modern day SJWs and realize, oh shit, they've done a lot, haven't they? I would far, far, far more have a moralist that whinges at me than the one that makes legislation behind my back. He also goes on to say, manga that is, if you go abroad, the problem isn't a battle at all, like if you don't go abroad. It's from a Google translation, excuse me, but basically he's saying that if you're trying to sell a manga in Japan, then political correctness is not an issue. Not at all. And that's true. But if you were to try and make a politically correct manga specifically to appeal to the Western audience, he doesn't think it will sell. Because, of course, you need to make it first at home before you can even try to go abroad with this. And why would anybody want to read a manga that isn't a manga, basically? Like, for better or worse, ginormo titties and eyes are a part of manga. It is the art style of manga. If you suddenly drop that, okay, you've dropped what makes you popular. Now what? Well, I'm going to be politically correct. Oh, good luck.
Yeah, you just become the same. That's the thing about political correctness. Everything becomes androgynous in the sense that it's all just gray. Like, it has no color to it, and there's no individuality behind it. There's nothing that drives it beyond the fact that it's like, it doesn't tiptoe on anything, it doesn't say anything too mean or insensitive, it just sort of exists and it's super bland. Like, that's not very interesting, is it? You don't want to buy something that's just like the same like that. It's like, oh, and they fought these one group of people, but they were no different. They were actually just misunderstood. It was a misunderstanding. Like, that's not very interesting now, is it? You don't like buying stuff like that. Nobody likes buying boring stories where everything's just the fucking same. Everybody wants to see something new, something different. And when you introduce political correctness, everything just becomes the same. Everything becomes this same grade, washed out drone about, like, everything's like gotta be all correct. The character designs have to be all well clothed. They can't be different. They can't be showing too much skin because that would be sexist. That's ridiculous.
But that comes from a creator of a highly sexist game, though. I have seen your artwork, you little...
I have yet to be branded by any fucking buddy. That's a little bit annoying.
You're too small. Don't worry. I'll make it happen.
The only SJW that said anything to me was like, you'll never succeed. And that's just the normal one. Like, that's like, okay, that's not very creative. Like, I can't put that up on the wall or anything. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Don't worry. I mean, you already had like a PC Gamer article written on you where you were mentioned as my property, so I'm sure they'll have
Nothing
it again.
even about the game. The game's just like,
Arch and his
whatever.
property. We're speaking on a topic. Like,
I do
yes.
like how they fucking believe in slavery over there. Oh, that's weird. But his property, his thing. Like, okay, rude, but all right.
The creators also mentioned something a little uplifting, namely that the whole PC thing is not a guaranteed. It's not an absolute. It's been only about 5 years or so when this shit has really been kicking into gear, and who knows, in another 5 years, will it be as bad, or maybe we are actually seeing the turning of it. And the beauty of the Japanese is they are just continuing to make the exact same raunchy shit as they always have. They're not being affected at it. And looking at the sales of manga skyrocket, whilst those of woke comics plummet, maybe they're right. Maybe they will finally realize that, okay, yeah, no, this isn't popular. Maybe we'll see anti-woke Batman. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
That'd be cute. Just beats the crap on SJW. I mean, that's not really Batman's character. That would still be a character break.
I don't know. Like Harley Quinn, the Joker co-opts the wokest movement. I could see that. I could totally see that.
Oh my god, that would be funny. That would be the ultimate joke, too.
It would. It would be a great joke. It would be fantastic. And then Batman can kick the shit out of them, and everyone can be like, yes. And then they clapped. And then they all clapped. Yes.
Flippy
Yes.
clappy.
Yes.
All right, you don't write comics because this story is very linear. Where's the tension here?
The tension. The tension.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's no. This is the hero's journey. Batman was there. The Joker was an SJW, so Batman beat the shit out of him. Happy ending. We have a beginning. We've got a middle, and we've got an end.
I mean, it's a
I don't have any
small,
arguments.
like, that's a super small condensed way of looking at it, and there's like the climax
It's
is the beating.
the correct way of looking at it. We have the hero beginning his journey. We have the struggle, and we have the happy ending.
Struggle of his fist pounding his face. Yes.
Yes.
See, that's really why people watch Batman. They watch to see Joker do something funny and whimsical, and then watch him get the shit beat out of him.
I do love also how in every Batman movie the Joker is apparently capable of fighting Batman. Like, when the hell did the Joker study enough martial art to take on an autistic little mofo who knows like 37 different fucking forms of ass beating?
You need to not think about it. The Joker is mentally like
it should
unstable.
be a complete it should be unfairly walkovers. The Batman should just go up to him and beat the crap out of him every time. And the Joker should just whinge at him like, this is really unfair. You know that, right?
Look, we can't have things be balanced. You know that. I know that. Chad knows that.
It doesn't, like, Batman fights shit like Bane. Batman fights shit like Doomsday. And a dude whose most deadly weapon is maybe a revolver gives him shit.
That's true. The Joker does like his revolver because of the little bang thing at the end when it sometimes doesn't shoot people.
Yeah, like, that isn't reasonable, Kyle. That is not reasonable. That is not reasonable.
James, explain how the Joker beats Bane in a fist fight. I don't know. He doesn't. It'd probably be dead on the ground. Think about the Joker is he's got to use his unstable brain somehow to outwit his enemies, which is weird because he's like psychologically unstable, yet he's super clever and witty.
Well, that's just the thing about Warner or DC. I was about to say Warner Brothers. DC in general, everyone's a genius. Everyone is a cocking genius. Like the Batman, genius level intellect. Really? Does having your parents murdered give you genius level intellect?
Yes.
It's just like my daddy, my mommy. That's smart now.
Their deaths empowered his brain because their brain power stopped.
He
so
ate
all the power went
their
to
brains. That's how it happened.
When fucking the one police chief found him, like, where his dead parents were, he's like, oh my god,
He
cannibals.
absorbed them. That's what happened. And Joker's been trying to tell the world about the brain-eating monster that is the Batman ever since.
And that's why he just paints himself as the Joker, because no one believes him, so the world's a joke. It all comes together.
It all comes together. Superman. See, we could. This is an endless debate, isn't it? Like Superman, he gets his ass kicked by random things, and then he fights something 12 times stronger and beats its ass in. Like Superman struggles with Lex Luthor on occasion. Lex Luthor builds himself a mechanical suit, and suddenly Superman's like, I can't punch through it. I can't punch through it. I can pull a planet, but I can't punch through Lex's recent little garbage suit.
Yeah, the power levels in that are always silly. Because the problem with Superman is, like, I think the focus of Superman story is the focus on being somebody that powerful and the complications rather than the actual problems presented. But even so, they don't focus enough on that. They focus too much on the other stuff.
Lex almost never wears a goddamn helmet.
Doesn't need to. He's got plot armor. That's the best helmet you can have.
That is the best helmet you can have. It's the noise of it. Like Superman moves so fast he can rewind time, and yet Lex Luthor's like, I have Martha.
Speaking of, because this is somewhat topical. Did you read anything or see anything about the show Invincible? Chat's very curious.
Oh yeah, no, I watched it. Invincible is cool, but it's now it's gotten to be a very cliched story. It's the hero is the bad guy. It's the evil Superman story, which was cool the first time I read it in the early 2000s. Now it's getting a little bit trite. And the problem too is Invincible is a weak-ass little pussy, and part of me enjoys that because he's such a fallible hero that I can kind of identify with him a little bit more. But at the same time, he's so thoroughly incompetent that I kind of just root for his dad.
Honestly, I think Invincible's a bit overrated. Like, I saw it, and the idea of it's kind of cute, but, like, the animations are abysmal. Like, they're super cheap. The art's bad.
Too harsh.
I don't know why.
Kind.
Like, people were like, it's got the best animations I've ever seen. So I go in with some high expectations. And I look at it and go like, that's pretty, like, weak. Like, these animations are pretty cheap. Like, half the time, their eyes aren't fully drawn. Or even drawn. Like, especially if they're in the background, they're all, like, little plump, just, like, little splashings of paint. It just feels really cheap.
Kyle is mean.
On top of that, I did a little bit of researching, and there was a lot of random race swaps. The SJWification of the show compared to the comic is not overly done, but there's definitely elements already. Like his girlfriend being race swapped for whatever reason. I don't even know why.
Well, we know why. We absolutely goddamn know why.
Like, the whole thing is it's very contrived. And because it already had SJW ramifications or the effects of it, I was like, I'm not going to support them. Even though I do actually have Prime and I could watch it for free, I don't really want to.
It's not a bad show by any stretch of the imagination. It just... not quite my style, I think.
I actually looked up all the story bits for the whole story thing. It's actually fairly average. Like, I already know how the whole thing's going to end. Because I didn't care that much. I didn't mind reading what the comic synopsis was.
Bad, Kyle. Everybody should raise you in for that. Now, Kyle, you have a drama thing before we go into Super Chats again.
A little bit. I might have involved myself in something that I did not necessarily have to, but when I see a friend in need, I get fucking angry, especially when somebody's been wronged. So this is in regards to a little Twitter incident that happened a while ago with one of my animators, our lead animators, one of the best animators I've actually ever known, and one of the greatest workers I've ever known. His name is Cashew. He was working alongside this company called Sprite, which makes this software that allows you to make pixel art. It's actually really good, and I actually recommend it for sprite making, but the person behind it is a piece of shit. Recently, Cashew, if you've ever followed him on Twitter, you know he shitposts. He shitposts just for fun. He doesn't mean anything by it, but one of the people finally canceled him during Pride Month not too long ago, a couple days ago. And The A Sprite guy, despite all the things Cash has done for him for free and on his spare time, helps moderate, helps answer questions, regardless of race, gender, or creed. Cashew is extraordinarily professional. He will do whatever it takes to help people. He just likes helping people. A great guy. And this guy just like, nope, we're gonna deal with him, and we're kicking him off. And so they just kicked him out of the moderation thing. It wasn't like it's not a big deal, but it's an example of cancel culture at play, and it actually happens really close. And so I confronted him directly in DMs, is like, hey, I don't appreciate you doing that. I'll even show you guys exactly what I said, because I don't really care. And DMs, and they just sort of brush it aside. You can pause that and look at that if you really want to, but it's pretty stereotypical. And the best part is the last thing they said, which I find extraordinarily hypocritical, and that actually is the part that made me even more mad. He says, we're not going to accept any kind of threat. We talked with Cashew, and we decided to move on. We accept his decision. Well, the thing is, you're not going to accept any kind of threat. You responded to the threats that were already being pushed against you when they tried to cancel Cashew. So don't try to fucking pretend that you don't respond to threats when you respond very well. You are a little bitch, and you will do whatever people tell you when threatened by the right group. Don't fucking pull that shit with me. And the fact that they did this to Cashew pisses me off more than anything, because Cashew has done so much for me and my team. He's one of the best people I know. He works so hard. On his spare time, he goes above and beyond. Honestly, he's one of the hardest workers on the team. And when I saw this happen to him, that this guy threw him under the bus, a supposed friend, it made me livid. I just can't stand that. Cashew is one of the best people I've known. And the fact that this guy did that fucking pisses me off, because I know Cashew. I know he's a good guy. And this, just see him thrown under the bus like that and be canceled over some shit post because some fucking commie LGBT person was, he's just pissed off that person. And that person sat on that and waited on that, because I did a little bit of research. This guy that actually posted it, I don't have the thread because I got blocked by everybody, but the person pushing it, if you actually follow me on Twitter, you can actually go back and check through my history, and you can actually see it, because you won't be blocked, I don't think, but I can't. And basically, this guy had a thing out for Cash. He had gotten into a few arguments with Cash, and he had been sitting on this, basically digging through Cash's fucking shit posts and waiting for Ride Month for A Sprite to say something, and then dumped it on A Sprite. So fuck them. Of course we're not gonna fucking fire Cash. That'd be retarded. But like the thing is, like, oh, it makes me mad. This is an example of cancel culture at play, and it's finally one of the cases that actually hits close to home, because it happened to one of our team members. And I contacted a fellow developer, Bobby Q, and he actually reached out, and we got a bunch of people. And we basically just spread the word about A Sprite and the fact that you can't trust them. Even if you do work for this guy, he'll throw you under the bus first chance he gets. Just know that he's a lying piece of little shit. Like, I fucking hate that kind of crap. The program is good, though. The software is good. I'm not gonna be unfair to it. Like, it's really well made. It's one of the best sprite making software out there. But do not trust the person behind it. The person behind it is a fucking two-faced little bitch. And that's all I have to say on that note. And in regards to cancel culture, this is an example of how toxic it is, how bad it is, because it promotes this drama-like behavior. People taking screen caps of every little thing you say, waiting for the moment to do that. Like, Arch has people who has done that to him. I've had people that have done that to me. People who lurk on our Discord servers, waiting, capturing, and recording every conversation they can, so they can snip it out of conversation, so they can try to actually cancel us. They're always out to get us. And you know what? Go ahead. Keep trying. You're never going to win. But, like, it annoys me, because this shit happens all the time. And this isn't just one thing. This isn't just Cashew. This is everybody. Like, the industry is filled with people like this. This is the landmine field that is the indie industry. And the worst part is not just here. It spreads everywhere. That's why we have to fight it everywhere it's found and confront it everywhere it's found. I don't care if they block me. But if I do make it big, I'm going to use I'm going to point out that in the past, the people who burned me, and I'm going to remind them that they burned me. Because I'm not going to you can't forgive people like that. I don't know. I'm mad about that shit. Either way.
I have a counterpoint, though.
Go for it.
He's fucking Swedish.
He is Swedish. And he cuts up bananas and he puts them on his pizza. But I don't care.
Yeah.
He's my animator.
So in other words, this is less than he truly deserved.
If anything, he deserved to be canceled over the banana pizza thing. That's the weirdest thing. Apparently, this isn't even uncommon. Swedish people like pizza. That's cool, all right? They cut up bananas and then put the banana slices on the pizza. Weird, but all right. Okay, listen, in Cashew's defense, I'd rather have a banana pizza than a pineapple pizza, because pineapple pizza is disgusting.
It's not. That's not weird, Kyle. People have been genocided for less.
Oh, fair.
But in this, for once, I guess the Swede isn't in the wrong, even though he just probably. But this is classic cancel culture, and it's because the company has a political stance. And I do love the whole like, we will not be threatened. We have a backbone now.
Oh yeah, you have a backbone now, but you didn't 5 minutes ago for your own fucking, like, quote unquote friend who had helped you out for years for free, even on a lot of things, and going out of his way to do special things for you just because he trusted you, and you throw him under the bus the first minute you get. I hate that shit. And that is the reason why. I mean, that's
my backbone is exceedingly pliant.
I mean, in regards to Arch's project, because he's doing his own thing too. Like, I've even told him my thoughts on it, and I've talked with Bobby Q and others. Like, when I first got into making games, I didn't want to curate the people that we hired. I was like, if you got the skill for it, awesome. That's all you need. But now we actually have to take a little bit of a look, because we can't trust people because they'll subvert what we're working on. We've had it happen before. People have tried in the past, and they'll do it again. I've seen it too many times, and I've seen it happen to other teams too. Like, it's actually a real fucking problem. There are people out there that are trying to subvert our work and change it, and for some political reasons. And we have to be actively searching for them to make sure that they don't infiltrate our project or other people's projects. Like, everybody's got to keep their eyes out. You got to be careful who you recruit, and you do have to look at what they post on Twitter. That's pathetic. I hate having to do that. I hate it so much. Because I've been burned so many times. Like, it's not. We've been burned by quite a few people in the past because politics. Because we know Arch, and Arch is friends with Sargon for proxy by proxy. Even though I'm not a friend of Sargon's, like, I get shit all the time in the industry for that shit. Like, we work with people, and then they just ghost the minute they find out, like, oh, you know Sargon? And then they stopped responding. It's like, oh my fucking god. I don't even think Sargon likes me. And, and it's already affecting me just for knowing him. Like, what the hell is this? Like, that's ridiculous. I hate that so much.
Gatekeep, Kyle. Gatekeep.
It's not my job to gatekeep the fandom, but it is my job to gatekeep the dev team.
It is your
job.
The
fandom's job is to gatekeep themselves. I've got my hands full.
It is your job. Slam the gate shut and then weld it.
Yeah, but how are we going to get new consumers? We need moo-moos. We need moo-moos. Sargon adjacent. Yes, Coconut. Just for knowing him. Just for fucking playing a game with him, people literally disassociated from me in the industry. And I lost a lot of connections. I remember when I told my uncle that I was going to vote for Trump, and then he fucking told everybody, because he's in the industry, and then shamed me in front of multiple major developers, because he was way higher up. And, like, literally closing every door I possibly had. I fucking remember that. I hate that shit. It makes me mad. Makes me very mad. My rant's over.
That is why you should become Walt Disney, buy all of their things, and then burn them.
Yeah. If I ever get big enough, I will burn them all. But I'm not there yet. We gotta get there.
There we are. All right. That is Kyle's opinion on the Swedish people.
Yeah, pretty much. They are not to be, lauded as heroes. They do eat banana pizza, but they are a necessary evil.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
So we have we have another topic, by the way.
No, we don't. We have many super chats. There's fucking kilos and kilos and kilos.
You get to the super chats.
Kilos and kilos
and kilos. We'll do the last two topics.
You look at your DMs instead.
Fine, I will.
Joseph Kurvan. I took a break from my effort on catching up to 30k to read the Eisenhorn and Ravenor series. No surprise, these Inquisitors are surprisingly gentle and heroic. Any series you can suggest where the main character is a vicious bastard? Okay,
some of these look good, by the way.
No, they don't.
Some of them look really bad, though.
What you should do is, if you can find it, and you can probably find it on Google, look for a 40K graphic novel series called The Redeemer. It is excellent. It was The Redeemer, yeah? Yes, The Redeemer. Go look for 40K The Redeemer. It is excellent. It is a crazy priest person who burns sinners because that's the only way to make sure. He's a good boy. Now, Kyle will enjoy the pizzas. Yes, Kyle. Happy Kyle.
Making chat look at them.
Glowy. Conspiracy. The localization SJWs do bad subs and dubs, try to break people's enjoyment of the anime medium because they can't control it. Ah, yes. They are bad people. Glowy. A dad in Invincible, best character, he beats Whiny Son up. He does. And Whiny Son does deserve it. He really does on occasion. He really does. Glowy again. Bickering Bunch Crusade when? Kibs to lead us to reclaim the Holy Land of entertainment and video games.
We need more people. I don't think 5,000 Crusaders is enough. I don't
know about that.
It's a start, okay? It'll be a good skirmish, but after we get, wiped out, it'll be pretty bad. But we have to combine
also
forces.
Says that he's sorry he burned you, but it's fun making fun of you.
Thank you. I know. I understand. I make fun of myself, too.
Glowy, that's the fourth one. Glowy likes setting multiple. Like,
he does.
All of them in one go.
No, he doesn't want to do
Joker
that.
uses tools like killing laughter gas that somehow affect Superman. That's true. Also, Joker's fighting ability explained that Joker, due to his insanity, he can't be predicted, and the chemicals he fell into dulled pain receptors. Like, okay, I get that, but unless they detached his brain from his brain stem, then a good hit to the chin will still send him to the floor. Like, he doesn't feel pain. Yes, but Batman is a super top-trained mega athlete that has fought for literally every day of his life for like how many years? I'm sure he can deck the Joker. Like, he's crazy. He moves strange. Like, just punch him. Just punch him. Grr. 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 Brower? Maybe even? Look, chat. It's chocolate pizza. Look at it. Look, chat. It's chocolate pizza.
Next picture.
Look
what the hell is that? Is that like ranch? What the fuck?
No. Banana toffee pizza.
Actually,
look at that. It's liquid.
Hold on. The peanut butter one is actually a snack thing, and I could get behind like a dessert. Like, I could get behind that.
I don't know about that. Oh, for a second there, we had 666 viewers. I enjoy that number.
Oh, no. Look at you, Satanist. Bad. Bad, Blondie.
I'm sure Chad enjoys this. Here, banana pizza. Like, why?
Suffer.
Nobody knows.
Honestly, a lot of people say that they've tried them now ever since they met Cash, and they say they're actually kind of good. I have a hard time believing, though.
So many people to put on the pyre.
I know. The list keeps growing.
Boang says in Mexican Noises, Rakita is a boomer. Talk to him via Twitter. But why though? Ah, yes, that pizza looks particularly awful because it's one of those thin Italian pizzas too that just looks like it's got goop on it. Like, it doesn't even look like identifiable cheese and topping. It just looks like goop.
It might actually be goop. Oh, the banana toffee one. I missed. Open that.
It's the worst one because it looks liquid. Like, that is awful. Like,
it's probably liquid.
I get
liquid
sad
caramel, if I had to guess.
Like, I get sad when my pizza is a little watery. Like, you can kind of just see a little fluid on it. That makes me put it back in the oven for 5 minutes until it's fucking scorched.
See, I love pizza, like greasy pizza, but I hate when it like collects in little puddles. Like, I want it to be greasy,
yes,
but I don't want to see like a pool of little grease. I'm like,
oh god, greasy pizza, awful. Like, greasy pizza, I'll eat it, but It's not the best pizza. Like, I eat it in Germany because the Germans don't have pizza, and so I go to Domino's Pizza, and I'm like,
You sad son of a bitch.
Yes, desperate I am. And when lost in the desert, even Domino's is pizza.
I do want to point out for our international friends that Domino's pizza is not reflective of actual American pizza. It is nothing like our pizza.
That's a lie. That's a whorish lie, too. Domino's Pizza is America. It's on their flag. Those little stars, they're not stars.
No, it's not. Domino's is an abomination.
Hyle says, Arch, we live in a bad parody of the movie Life of Brian, with the world being filled with more Loretta each day. Try to fight problematic Romans.
Remans.
We are. Oh, well. If our life is a movie, then, try to be the best actor you can be. Play that game with yourself where you imagine life to be just entertainment for a bunch of creepy aliens. So sing in the shower and make it good. It's good. It's fine.
You might as well. And if the FBI's listening, you might as well give them something to listen to. Imagine the poor guy watching. He's like, oh, fucking bored. You sing for him, he's like, a tear comes to his eyes. Like, finally. He cares.
Whenever you see an Alexa anywhere in the world, you should approach it and go, yes, Habib, the nuclear explosives are on the way.
Amazon employees like, oh shit, here we go again.
That's how it works. God, why? Okay, let me try this. Psycho Kozel, that was another bad. Psycho Kozel says, when we are in the topic of weird wokes, they yesterday changed our 200 years old grammar cuz feelings. Yes, they do that a lot. That happens. Frightening often. Actually, we should just have this segment here should just be an endless stream of awful food as we read the super chats. That would be excellent. N train. See, I'm sure he means N train because I think that's like a character or something. But every time I see it, all I see is NTR Ain. So NTR M Ain. Hey R, when are you going to start the vampire campaign again? I really liked it. When the Lich is no longer in office and it's not life-ending to do so, pretty much.
Archman scared.
Lord Commissar Spartan, just want to toss a chunk of change as thanks for the gut laugh I had from the breeding stock gag from the review uploaded earlier today. Thanks for that, Arch.
Nice.
You are very welcome. That was a good video. I enjoyed making that. I have been having it in the chamber too for ages because I've never found a good way to time to release it. Still bad time to release, but it's better than nothing. Space Monkey 0899. Check out Expanded Fronts mod on ModDB for Star Wars Battleground. Widescreen glitch fixes and new factions plus easy install.
It is actually really good. So if you have Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, it's on Steam and GOG. It's basically just a reskin for Age of Empires 2, but it's Star Wars. It's really good. And Galactic Expanded Fronts, the mod, is actually awesome. Like, if you like Age of Empires 2, and you have Age of Empires 2, or no, it's not a mod for Age of Empires 2. I'm retarded. Help me, please. The Galactic Battlegrounds game is actually really good. So if you like Age of Empires, try it. You can literally play as Gungans, or you can kill Gungans. Like, that is amazing. And Expanded Fronts adds in more factions, so the game goes up to, it's like episode 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, skipping 3, because the prequels, they didn't make that yet, and then 4, 5, and 6. Expanded Fronts adds all of them, and yes, they add the First Order, but at the same time, it's really good, so I can't not recommend it, because it runs really well. It's good.
I doubt you question all of these noises you just made.
Just Age of Empires with the Star Wars skin, and for some reason that makes it 10 times better. I don't know why. It's got Star Wars music, the whole shebang.
See, this is the problem, Carl. The banana pizza brought us way more viewers. Now you're just showing like taco pizza and people are leaving.
Should I put up taco pizza? I was actually putting in just random pizzas I was Googling. Google.
Random pizzas.
Taco pizza is actually really good if it's done right. If it's done right, it's actually amazing.
People disagree with your pizza choices.
Chat, you will shut the fuck
Brett, that at the time, abilities to build despite not having the exact amount. See, that's why I should read them whilst they're happening, because now I don't know what that's in reference to. Uh, Warnari, hail Arch, been enjoying World of Warcraft Burning Crusade Classic as an Orc Warrior tank. I recommend it, though buying a boost pack is not worth it. Besides, not designated for the Burning Crusade, the green given gear is trash.
Oh yeah.
I keep wanting to kind of go back to a MMO. I do.
Thing is, I didn't say this, and you never heard me say this, but you know those things called private servers exist. They just exist. It's a weird thing. I don't want to say anything further, but they exist.
Disco, clip that out and upload it as a separate
I don't know
video.
why they exist, though. I have no idea. It's just weird. It's like people like to host private servers for WoW. I don't know why they do that, though. Crazy. Shame they don't hire us, though. They could use better copyright protection. Money is money. Money is money. Google seafood pizza. No, Boog, I'm scared. Fine.
A Juggernaut Demon. I have to find a RTS game that's as fun and complex as Supreme Commander Forge Alliance. You can micro every unit to dodge shots. Every projectile is actually a physical thing and isn't hit scan. ETS, RTS stagnant since 2009. Yes.
Yeah, and you're going to have a hard time finding something for that. Supreme Commander is extremely unique in that regard, where every projectile is actually calculated, and you can actually micro down to the individual unit to dodge rounds.
Yes. Supreme Commander is an awesome game, and it was almost as much a technological experiment as anything else, which was fantastic. We will never see its like again. It is dot. It is tot. 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 Dead.
You know,
Totensick?
That doesn't look awful, but it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I could eat it, but I might be sad about it. Also, the shrimp have the tails attached still. Like, that's gonna be crunchy. I don't see that going well, Boog.
Vile. Disgusting. AK says hashtag KickV. Yeah, it's Kick Kyle here. Thank you very much.
Kibs. It rolls off the tongue really good, but nobody's picked it up. I even tried to get people to say it once, and they just like, meh. It's like, okay.
Meh.
I tried.
Oh, very interesting. What's a Kibs?
Kibs. Like, well, Kibs is actually pretty cool. See, now they'll say it.
Canadian Hustan. Fun fact, Merry Pippin are based off the men that died in the Somme. Samwise is based off his dog's body. He missed the battle because of trench fever. Oh, it's interesting. I did not know that. Dog's body. I do like that name. Kyle is my dog's body.
What?
Yeah.
Weird, but okie dokie then.
No, you are my dog's body.
It's running out of pizza ideas to Google.
A Binary Eclipse. My fav RTS game is Dark Rain.
That's one I haven't heard in a very long time. The first one is
that is a rare little thing right there. That is not only ancient but niche, even when it was released.
Yeah, Dark Rain. Like when I think Dark Rain, I think Kill, Crush, and Destroy. Like those two RTSs were kind of like those really obscure ones that just sort of fell under the radar.
Yep.
Stoner
KKND was awesome though.
KKND Extreme was better. The sequel.
KKND 2 was fantastic because the mutants literally power their economy with pig farts. That's just brilliant.
And the machines that did the agriculture for the above world got sick of the mutants and humans fighting, and so they just literally farming machines are now killing both of them.
They got pissed off. They destroyed their crops. There was even a Dark Rain 2, a sequel. That one flopped hard, I seem to remember. It was one of those early forays into 3D, and it looked way worse than its 2D predecessor.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the weird Star Trek RTS game that made no sense. It's like, yeah, Star Trek New Worlds, where the Star Trek universe has tanks. It's like, why do they have tanks?
Why would they have tanks?
In that universe, they don't use tanks. They use spaceships.
Tanks are adorbs.
Tanks are silly. When you can orbit
Muhammad, Somaliland and Somalia are different. Are they though? Are they though? Are they, though? No, nobody says they are. In other words, same country.
Unbased and
Cyber Anime Alien, do you think there's a way to make a 40k game that would allow for gameplay on a galactic scale while also being able to micro soldiers? Not with current technology, no.
Nope. See, how you would do it theoretically is you design it in a two game system. So you have two different game base mechanics is how I'd do it. You have the campaign map in the same vein that you had Star Wars Galactic Empire's campaign map, or Empire at War is the game. And then the battles are separate. Now the problem with doing the battles separate is now you have a ground battle system and a space battle system you need to develop. That's 3 different game systems you need to develop now in order to make this game. And that was the problem with Empire at War. The space battles were slightly better, but the ground battles were just kind of shit. Like, with the more systems you add, and especially if you're a big developer and you're not indie, you don't have a lot of time to develop these things, so you kind of end up rushing one or the other. That's what sucks. Because you kind of wanted to apply the same things. No, not Total War. Silly. Think in terms of Galactic. Empire War is a good basis, Coconut. Silly Willy. Why does everyone use Total War? I actually hate when they do that. It's like Total War would not work well in a 40k setting. Now, Empire at War actually has the mechanics that would actually back that up. Silly chat. Silly chat. Not thinking with their noggins. Okie dokie. Look at them. They're figuring it out. Like, oh. The dots are connecting. The brains are working.
Disavow.
What if I type in sushi pizza? I'm scared.
Back in 1917 for $50. Thank you a lot, my dude. None of the current popular esport games started that way. They are all competitive games that people liked playing and formed communities around them. It is from these that the majority of viewers and all players people like come from. That is true. You cannot force an esport. You cannot force it. It will happen if it wishes to happen. And more often than not, it will not happen. And if it does happen, you still need to be the biggest goddamn thing in your field to be able to earn money of it. And it happened to League of Legends. Which proves to me that humans are not necessarily worthy of survival.
League of Legends is a special game.
It has created some fine waifus, however. At least that can be said.
That's actually one thing I will actually say I like about League is I like the art style, and I like a lot of the artists that came out of there. If anyone's familiar with Kane KL, I really dig his art, and he actually worked at Riot. So I like a lot of the art style and the art direction of that. But I actually hate the fucking game, and I hate the company.
And they have created animated music video movie things with wenches in 3D. And it's like, oh, this cost a lot, didn't it? Yeah.
The promotional material must be working because they keep doing it. In fact, one of their promotional videos is actually was like, fine, I'll try. Why would somebody invest this much money? And then I played the game and I understood the game's bad. And so you have to invest that much money to keep people interested.
On the other hand, again, it clearly works. And hey, you know what? The KDA, the first one they made, the first pop star song they made, which started this trend. I just looked it up on YouTube now. 443 million views.
My God.
That probably actually paid for the movie right there. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
A ridiculous sum of money.
Why is League of Legends popular? Like, that makes me sad. Anyway, before I become even sadder, Dolomaticus not surprised about SJWs in Manga. Been saying for years that Japan does have SJWs and they're trying to work with American ones to bend manga. Yes, they are. We must stop them. We might have to nuke Japan again to get them back on the right track. Oh.
It's the only right thing to do.
Crazy Loon says, have you read Brutal Kunin? If so, what did you think of it? I have not, sadly. Brutal Kunin. Brutal Kunin. No, rings no bells. Cyber Anime Alien in the prison school dub, they brought up Gamergate. Of course they did. Why would they not? Why would they not? Why would they not, Kyle? Answer me this question.
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, you owe me more Dota then.
What? See how it just continues to... Arch, your brain works in mysterious ways. Like, how are you doing today, Arch? He's like, is this an insult? It's a compliment. Ah, yes, you owe me more Dota. Yes, you do.
Yes, it does.
It's...
Varnala wanted to apologize last SC week ago about Astral Creation that Alpha was not free, just not NDA. Still like what I see, hear about it, love Steven Sharif, a dev on AOC. Take on New World's shop alone makes me hopeful. Good. I hope it's good, because Mile might have a look at it and be like, is this good? Is it good? Is it bad? And Carl will be dragged along behind me as my dog's buddy to be like, oh, do I have to grind?
The thing is, it's not being dragged along because I actually like playing games with my friend, you little monkey, with his narrative crafting ears.
Dog's buddy, Kyle.
One of these days. One of these days.
Manga is already the global standard, not when compared to Marvel or DC and their garbage. Yes, it is. Manga has superseded the cuckenings in the West, and forever long may it stand. Actually, Whitey, if everyone is superior, no one is. Syndrome. That is true. And that is true. I had a discussion with this with V. It is one of the main problems that Western comics has in comparison to manga. In manga, there are new stories constantly because the stories end. Kimetsu no Yaiba, one of the best-selling mangas ever, ended. Dragon Ball ended. Naruto ended. Then they started another one, but it was a separate one. Meanwhile, like Naruto came out about 22 years ago, because I looked this up. How old do you think Batman is, Kyle?
Batman. Hold on. Let me think. That's, I'm guessing, because when superheroes started really picking on, 1950s, mid 1950s, maybe?
30 something. 39. 1939.
God damn it. I guess in the 1950s and 60s when that stuff became a lot more popularized, it was a lot more niche. Sort of like John Carter's Mars or whatever it's called.
Right. Yes, it was 1939 was the first appearance of Batman. So right now, Batman is about 83 years old as a character.
Jesus Christ.
There's no wonder why people are losing interest in the mainstream superheroes, because they're ancient. They are really, 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 really old. And even a character as cool as Batman, if he's been done for 83 years...
Mm-hmm. It gets tiresome. I think...
Yes.
What was the last Batman thing I did? See, I'm not big on superheroes. I will admit and confess that to chat. But there was something I actually enjoyed. I think it was the Arkham Asylum game. Yeah, because that was kind of fun. That was a kind of fun game, and it kind of explored the Batman story. And while I don't mind hearing the same story again a little bit and revisiting it, it is one of those things where they just keep retelling it so many times that it's like, okay. Like, they retell Superman so many times. They do origin stories and then start the cycle all over again for the next generation. That's how they've been going, Arch, and that's how they're going to keep going if they do. Because they just keep doing it for every generation. Well, I appreciate that because that's kind of cool in a way that every generation gets to experience the same superheroes, but in their time. At the same time, I kind of have to ask, like, yeah, but like maybe something new, something different.
I see the chat asking too. Mickey Mouse is only a little older than Batman. Like, I think he's about 10 years older than Batman, because Mickey Mouse's first appearance, and then he wasn't even a character. He wasn't even Mickey Mouse yet. He was just a random thing that was drawn, was in 1928.
Yep. Animation studios started to begin, and the great journey forward for animation as a whole. And then it'll be later sabotaged, traditional 2D animation, stuff like that, when the 3D market comes into play. CGI.
And again, like, that is the whole entire thing here. Mangas, despite often manga often has an overarching theme that is currently popular. The isekai craze a while ago, for example, when everyone was making isekais, but they're all different and insane. And isekai as a sword, sent to another world as the villainess of a novel. That became its own subgenre because it became so incredibly popular, because it was a flip on the usual classical Japanese storytelling of playing the heroine in romance novels. Being sent to another world as a child, being sent to another world as a vending machine. There's all these kinds of different and interesting takes. A lot of them flop, but a lot of them don't. And that's why you can have a dozen different entries that are more or less story-wise in many ways similar, yet different enough to draw different audiences and keeping it fresh. Meanwhile, Batman, regardless of whether or not you put Batman in the future, or Batman now, or Batman in space, it's Batman. He's a sourly Bruce Wayne. It's like, my parents was dead.
My parents died. It's like your parents dead thing. It reminds me of the Mass Effect meme I started where for Jacob. Where'd my dad go?
Yep. And that is a key weakness. The Western heroes are just old. So very, very old. They are so very, very old that the oldest Japanese heroes look young by comparison. Like Naruto, again, 22 years compared to 83. Ace 1918 says Star Wars High Republic is getting a woke manga. Awful. Burn it at the stake.
Not surprising.
Kyle says, Kibbs, when you are making that pineapple, anchovies and banana pizza, you talk about on EDF 5 for someone party.
What? Firstly, I never talked about banana and pineapple pizza, but I expressed a morbid curiosity in anchovy pizza. Anchovy, or how's it pronounced? I don't know. Anchovy. The little tiny fishies. Because somebody told me that they actually eat they like that pizza. I'm like, so you put little fishies on your pizza? I'm like, okay.
That's disgusting.
I kind of like, it's a morbid curiosity for me. Like, I want to try it, but I'm scared.
And I will condemn you for trying it.
I haven't tried it. I'm too scared of it.
Crazy Loon says, Glorious Arch Heimdall once more lets out a call to gatekeep. Let all great warriors respond. Yes. Gatekeep now or forever lose Lord of the Rings. Watch the Lord of the Rings episodes, if you can, get them the Russian version, and then yell at Amazon if they do something bad. If there's a random black Numenorian, yell at them for it, because the Numenorians were not black.
Yeah, it's silly.
Psycho Causal. Domino's Pizza is not American representative, but your piss-water excuse for beer is heresy. Norwegian beer is kind of good. Domino's Pizza is indeed representative. In fact, every American embassy across the world has a Domino's Pizza inside of it.
Does it?
Yeah.
Domino's of all things? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in terms of corporate brand, but geez, I'd rather have Little Caesar pizza.
Well, you don't get to goddamn decide.
I do know.
Boag says, as you did see, Google Seafood Pizza.
We did. It was. It wasn't as horrifying as I was expecting, to be honest.
Meh. Scarfy the Strange. Kill, Crush, and Destroy has an Alex Jones lookalike as a general.
I know who he's talking about. You do too.
Andrew Apalategui. I love you. I love you too.
Oh.
See, touchy-feely. Scarfy the Strange again. Of the recent RTS indie games, I've seen a Black Chain, 0K, and War Selector may have my attention.
War Selector?
I haven't heard about any
I'm
of these.
Googling that. The other one is actually a mod for TA Spring, Total Annihilation Spring, which is actually this kind of like cool little free open software for Total Annihilation. That's like in a 3D engine. It was kind of fun. That was enjoyable. War Selection, I think you mean, not Selector. That's the other open software RTS. I've not tried it, but I've looked at it. I'll pull it up on stream. I'll send it to you. It is free to try, so and it's constantly being updated with new nations to play. It's kind of like a mixture of, it's kind of like Empire Earth is what I heard. If you're familiar
Nothing
with
is
that.
ever free, Kyle.
Oh, it's free to play right now. You can try it.
But it will cost me time and effort and pieces of my life.
I've considered trying it.
Back when entertainment was gold. If I may ask, how do I let my friends know that have different political beliefs to keep our beloved franchise, specifically Tolkien's Legendarium? It's easy. Just ask them, do you like this setting? If they say yes, then so you don't, okay, that's it. You like it. Then you need to keep it the way it is. And if they then offer up the usual argument, but wouldn't it be better if we changed this? Just tell them that then you didn't like it. Like, if you didn't like it, that's fine too, but don't then go, oh, we need to change this. No.
Don't sabotage
the setting is what it
thing.
is.
Yeah, it's like, remember,
the setting is what it
our
is.
friend Trader Doge. Our friend Trader Doge will also do this too. Like, he'll point out, like, or he won't do what Arch just said. He's left leaning, but like, he doesn't like it when shit gets hijacked either, because he's not a fake leftist either. So he's, actually a pretty decent guy. Sure, we disagree politically, but he's got some decent opinions. And he doesn't like watching his shit get sabotaged either, because he enjoys the same media we do as well.
Chat is correct, by the way. Eddie's Grey Rat is best girl.
Damn.
Dan Critty, great character, never die, only bad stories kill them. Well, perhaps. But there is a point in time when they should goddamn keel over. There's a need to kill them. There is. Cyber Anime Alien, I can't imagine Western media creating a main character like Rudius Greyrat from Mushoku Tensei. It would be tragic, the woke corrupts otaku culture. Yes. I do not think they could create a character like that either. That's the problem. Because Rudius Greyrat is both OP and underpowered at the same time. He is weak and dumb at the same time as being brilliant and interesting. And current day Western media is not fond of making that, which is sad. Now, I remember a time when I thought that I'd keep these videos around an hour. I've long since given up on that idea.
Yeah, and you will remain to give up on it. Because somebody actually raises a good point, but they didn't super chat. He says, with the talk of diversity in Tolkien's world, I'm also changing some of the words here, sorry. I'm just telling people that because it's something to misspell. Was thinking what you thought of how Shadow of Mordor, I think you mean Shadow of War, not the Shadow of Mordor game, because it's a sequel, did it with the Black Human, who I believe was originally a noble hostage for Gondor. Gondor. I'm retarded. I mispronounced that part.
You are.
Did you play the Shadow of War game?
I did not.
I did. I don't know. Like, it was fine, because, like, okay, they're a noble hostage, and they're working with Gondor now, because, like, well, there's orcs, and they'd rather not be fucking killed by orcs. It's not the worst. It's not the most outlandish. And it's not like every other Gondorian was black. It was like, this person's black, and he has a reason for why this person of this ethnic group is here. Because of this political thing, and they expand upon that later, because I think that's spoilers. They don't really do much with this character, though, to be honest. And honestly, I thought Shadow of War was not very well written, but that's opinion piece, honestly. But they have done it before. And that's also relatively recent. And honestly, I wouldn't consider Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor canon. It's more fanficky anyways. Wouldn't you? You played Shadow of War, Mordor, didn't you?
I would expect it to be more fanficky.
Yeah, I wouldn't quantify that as canon. It's just too silly.
And it kind of... Shadow of War had many other problems too. It was a bit of a scummy release in certain ways.
Oh yeah, the DLC policy was atrocious.
Yes. Boag wraps it up by saying all characters in Mushoku Tensei are horrid people. That's incorrect. The two animal-eared girls, the fluffy wuffy ones, are fantastic. Yes. Touch their ears and pet them gently.
Okay. One-based.
No. Correct. Now, thank you all very much for watching another installment of the ArchCast. And hopefully we will see you all again next week and tomorrow with the RP, as Dev has yet to make whinging Canadian noises, which is good. So, until next time, have a good day.
Good night.